there's so many different flavors of location independence and digital nomadism that, does that other partner want to, go to Europe for the summer, or do they want to move full time to Thailand, or do they want to just, take a week every month to go on a road trip? Like, there's so many different ways that could be so many different ideal situations for individual people, that I think that there's a lot of room for creativity for a couple to say, like, well, here's my ideal and here's what would be like a pretty nice like middle ground, considering whatever it is that the other partner wants. And it's also like, why does the other partner not want to go? It might
Yeah.
be that there's like certain parts of their lives that the stability might be hard to replace. So it just really depends on so many different factors of whether or not they can find this middle ground and like what that might look like.
Yeah. So I guess what would you say the two of you combined in your effort to do this kind of opened up the possibilities to ideas that you hadn't considered if you had just been your own doing it on your own? Like how did it expand like what you did want or something you wanted that you maybe didn't know you wanted that then you got to experience it and enjoyed it? Is there any example of that you can think of? Maybe it's a location you went to, or it could be just maybe specifics of where the lifestyle itself.
For me, I would say that like my travels before we got together, it was always just me. Like a couple times I had like my sister go with me or something like that on a trip. But for the most part, it was just like me doing my own thing. And like that's fine for a while, but like once you get out of that vacation mode, you kind of have to like work hard to build new relationships with people in a new place, and like having a partner in crime to go and like do it with kind of helps alleviate some of that like extra work or like loneliness that you might feel being gone for a while, and being like, oh, okay, like the novelty has worn off and now I'm just hanging out by myself or maybe with some acquaintances.
Yeah.
I think to add to that, one of the big differences for me is that Kristen is a tremendously better planner than I am. And so when I would go previously, I would kind of just book a ticket to wherever I was going the day before, sometimes the day of. And then I would just get there and wing it, which is great if you're just a single guy traveling around the world. But the thing that really has opened my eyes is having somebody with me that is planning this stuff out, booking stuff months in advance, and putting us into places where it is really, really fantastic. Like where we live now, we literally are living at a resort. And I look out the window right here and we have like 4 pools and a children's play area. There's no chance I would have been able to to get myself into this situation by myself. And so, there's a lot of that digital nomad lifestyle that most people, I think, that are in that lifestyle don't plan things out nearly as far out, and they don't end up nearly in as good of positions as the people that do.
Yeah.
And I would never have known that prior to being in this relationship.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So let's kind of go back to like you both thought about this type of thing before you got together, and it was sort of this dream of sorts. What like if someone's in that place, what would you tell them? What would you encourage them? You kind of mentioned the sort of the um the newness wearing off. Like, would you recommend they take certain steps to try it out before they like go all in?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would say for sure. Our trip started out like 2-week trips and more of like a vacation where we check our emails kind of a thing. And then the next trip was a little bit longer, and it's like, okay, well, we do have to do some work during this trip, so let's plan that. And then it started being like, okay, well, we're gonna actually go for 6 weeks and like set up our lives and figure out, where are we going to go to the gym and get our groceries and like all the things that you would have in your, our hobbies or community, all of those kind of things that you would have in regular life. Um, so it was a progression for sure.
Was it a
Yeah.
natural progression or did you plan that out?
I'd say it was more of a natural progression. Like we always wanted to go more towards those like longer stays, but I'm glad that we didn't just jump into doing that right away because there was a lot of kind of growing pains that we were able to sort out with those shorter trips first to be like, oh, okay, like maybe right next to the beach isn't way out in the jungle of Costa Rica, the internet's not that great. I'm glad we're not
Yeah.
here for 6 weeks because we'd be in
Yeah.
big trouble. Like there's so many different things that can happen. At home, you might have, oh, maybe the power goes out sometimes, but when you're in Latin America, like maybe that happens a lot. Like there's so
Yeah.
many things that could
Mm.
like throw a wrench in your plans when you're traveling that you wouldn't really consider at home. And
Yeah.
it really takes like trying it out a couple times to like realize like, ooh, I got to watch out for that. I need to double check
Yeah.
that, or I need to have a backup plan here. So
Yeah.
that I don't get stuck like missing that important sales call or whatever it is that's going to like be a big deal for your business.
Yeah.
I think something else to add to that is that for us, the winter in Atlanta is just miserable. I'm sure you know, like it just rains all winter. It's never cold enough to, or rarely cold enough to snow and have fun outdoor activities. It's just inside. It's raining and foggy and gross, and everybody gets sick. And so at first we left for like a few weeks, and we left in like a December, and then we came back in the middle of January, and we said, why did we come back in January? And then we left in December and we came back in like the late February, and we're like, now it's the coldest part of the year. Why did we come back in February? And then we came back in April and we said, oh, the weather's nice. Oh, but the pollen, I can't breathe at all when I get back. And then finally we were like, okay, well, we're just gonna go for the whole winter and pollen season, and then you're gone for the half the year. And so we just said we'll just stay. We'll
So you
say,
became more
we'll just go somewhere else.
strategic with your scheduling.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there were also, like, places that we went to go try out because we weren't sure if we were gonna like it or not, or if we were gonna love it or it'd be just okay, and then, after going, we'd be like, "Oh, that was really nice. Maybe we should go back at maybe a slightly different time of the year or for a little bit longer, a different neighborhood," something like that. So, like, to kinda get a feel for a place with a shorter trip before deciding, like, "Yeah, let's make it more, lengthy."
On top of that, I think it was a matter of really figuring out our values around where we wanted to live and how we wanted our lifestyle to be. And that was definitely a progression, because when you live in one city for a long time or in one region of the world for a long time, that region has a specific culture, has specific things. The way that people live is specific. But then when you get out of that and you realize, oh, people live vastly different lives in vastly different ways, and that's good, and that there are better pieces about the way they live than the way that we've been living. You start to realize like, oh, maybe there's better places to live, and sometimes there's better places to live during different parts of the year. Like there's Atlanta is fantastic in the fall but miserable in the winter. And we're here in Playa del Carmen. It's fantastic during the winter, but it is oppressively hot during the summer. And we also realized things like we wanted to be in places where we could walk most places. We wanted to be in a place where we had a strong community that was right beside us. One of the things that we didn't like about the Southeast is that where we lived in the city, we had to book plans out 2 weeks in advance with most of our friends. So if you and I wanted to get together, I had to call you the minimum of 2 weeks in advance because it's an hour to go get anywhere in Atlanta. And so we wanted to live in a place where we could just call up friends and walk to their house in 5 minutes and enjoy their company. And a place where we regularly had dinner parties, and our kids could play together and things like that, and where we didn't have to walk to things like coffee, or where we didn't have to drive to go get a coffee, and we didn't have to drive to go get our dinner, and if we want to go out, things like that. And
Yeah.
then even if we did drive, we wanted to live in a place where that didn't have crazy traffic. And so there was all sorts of these other things that also came into play that we didn't realize we wanted until we came to places that had that, and we realized how really, really important those
Mm.
things were to us.
Yeah, we started
Yeah.
like a checklist of what we're looking for, and it just
Okay.
got
Yeah.
longer and longer.